All right, everybody. North Carolina House Bill 797 is back with the second edition and is just as bad as the first one. Okay, so we're going to go through basically exactly what the bill is saying. We're not going to touch too much on the changes because there weren't that many, and they were pretty minor. Some people are calling it a win. I don't really think this is a win for pretty much anybody. We're going to start with definitions. Okay, so first, it's calling a real estate broker anybody, any company, association, etc., anything basically who, for compensation or value consideration thereof, uh, offers to list, sell, buy, offers to buy, auctions or offers to auction, purchase, okay, offers to purchase or sell or exchange real estate, or who leases or offers to lease, or who sells or offers to sell, leases, or who rents or offers to rent any real estate or improvement thereon. That's pretty much, you can't even just go offer to rent someone's house. You can't offer to buy someone's house. You can't offer to sell a house that you don't own, or enter into any kind of pretty much any arrangement unless you are a real estate broker, if this bill were to pass with the current language. Okay. And it also applies to anybody engaged in residential property wholesaling or related transactions. And that related transactions is doing a whole lot of heavy lifting on this particular thing. So we're going to get into what is residential wholesaling or related transactions. Soliciting a homeowner to enter into a purchase contract for the sale of the homeowner's residential property, unless the residential property will be used as the residence of the soliciting. You cannot go direct to seller unless you plan to live in the house. If you are going direct to seller without planning to live in the house or on the land, because this applies to land, it's just property that's zoned residential. First of all, if you're not planning to live there, now you're a broker, because a broker means anybody engaging in wholesaling related activity, and this is a wholesaling related activity. So now you cannot go direct to seller with the intent of buying a property unless you plan to live there. Okay, you cannot market, assign, or sell a purchase contract for residential property, or the equitable interest in the residential property to another for a fee or other valuable consideration. So you can't have equitable interest in a property and sell that equitable interest without being a broker. So I can't be a part owner of a property and sell my half unless I am now a broker. This is crazy. Okay. Selling or offering to sell, buying or offering to buy property now makes you a residential wholesaler. That's nuts. You literally can't talk to somebody who owns their home and say, wow, are you thinking about buying it? Boom. Now you have to be a broker, or you're doing broker activities without having a license. This is insane. Okay. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Homeowner means a record owner or owners, or equitable owner or owners, which this kind of conflicts because you can't sell your equitable interest in residential property, but you're counted as a homeowner if you are equitable owner. So that's conflicting. I am now a broker for trying to sell my own equitable interest in a property that I'm apparently the homeowner of. Crazy. Residential property, that is regularly self-explanatory. Real property containing one or more dwelling units legally used or held out for individuals to live in, regardless of whether such property is occupied by the owners of said property, rented, or vacant. Soliciting means communicate with the homeowner through mail, telephone, in-person, electronic communication for the purpose of entering into a purchase contract for the homeowner's residential property. You can't ask your buddy if you can buy their house. You can't ask your buddy if you should sell your house. You can't ask your buddy anything about their house. Obviously, the point of this is because some people were wholesaling unethically, and so they decided that nobody's allowed to do anything at all ever again. Obviously, they would think that they're protecting homeowners from unfair and deceptive practices involving residential wholesaling. Yes, there's unfair and deceptive practices everywhere. We've all heard of agents. Okay, agents have their own share of unfair and deceptive practices that they can get up to if they want to. You do not have to be a wholesaler to accidentally or intentionally be unfair or deceptive. Okay, so this is crazy. I mean, you don't have to be a wholesaler at all to have somebody who can buy their house without having to live in it. Okay, this is probably like the most egregious thing that this bill contains. All right, it says a homeowner. Okay, that's pretty much that's anybody who owns a home who's party to a residential property, wholesaling, or related transaction, as defined above, which, you know, is pretty broad, shall have the right to cancel the purchase contract until midnight of the 30th day. There is a 30-day reverse due diligence period where the seller, if they feel like it, can cancel the contract at any point in that first 30 days after the homeowner executes the contract, or until the conveyance of deed or title, whichever occurs first. So if you have a 3-week closing, guess what? The seller's reverse due diligence period is that entire time period. Okay. You cannot waive this. You cannot write in the contract that I waive my right to cancel unilaterally at any point in the first 30 days of the contract. You can't waive it as a seller. Notice of cancellation shall be given by mail or bona fide means of delivery, including electronic delivery or personal, provided that the homeowner obtains a receipt. Within 10 business days after and this is the worst part, you guys, within 10 business days after the receipt of the notice of cancellation, all payments of any kind made by the homeowner shall be refunded to the homeowner. So if your seller made repairs, does that mean that they have to now the seller needs to be refunded by the buyer for repairs? The purchase contract void shall be sent by broker or salesperson to the homeowner in the event of a cancellation under this section. Guys, and a cancellation under this section, which is any cancellation within the first 30 days, if the seller feels like it, any earnest money paid to the homeowner shall remain the property of the homeowner. Now, is this referring to due diligence money, which in North Carolina is already non-refundable and goes straight to the seller? Or is it referring to earnest money held in escrow? If it's referring to earnest money held in escrow, this defeats the entire point of holding it in escrow. Okay, holding it in escrow is for, like, it gets released when closing happens. Like, if the title's not clear, the seller could have a horrible title and cancel every 29 days and just keep racking up all these earnest monies. You could have a whole earnest money farm where you just accept every lowball offer that comes to you. You charge them $500 earnest money, and then 2 days later you cancel. Boom, $500 in your pocket. They can't do anything about it by the law. Homeowner who exercises the right of cancellation should not be liable for any damages as a result of the exercise of that right. Purchase contract used by a person shall, every single contract that is pursued must include all of this text in size 14 font. Most of my stuff's not even written in size 14 font. It's going to be the biggest text on the entire page. Okay, exact copy of the contract containing all this. That's a good thing. Violation of this article constitutes unfair or deceptive trade practice. Okay, guys. So key takeaways here is that anybody, whether they are they're living in the house as their primary residence or not, if they are selling to anybody, whether they are wholesaling or not, whether they are buying to live in, whether they are buying for any other reason, the seller can cancel whenever they want in the first 30 days, even if contract ends or until close of escrow. Seller can cancel whenever they want, retain all the earnest money, be refunded any costs that might have been incurred. And also, you need to be a broker if you're going to talk to a seller about potentially buying their house, whether you plan to, unless you plan to live in it yourself, which obviously, if you're an investor, you can't just live in every single property that you plan to buy. So, I mean, this bill basically, when it gets down to it, absolute garbage.